this is Mary of Mary Humphrey Coaching. Today we're talking about forgiveness, and this is a really tough subject for some people. It's misunderstood quite frequently. And to make the definition of forgiveness succinct, look at it as leaving it alone. If you leave the anger alone, you leave the frustration alone, if you let it go, if you forgive, you are leaving it alone. In this discussion about forgiveness, we are setting the examples on narcissists. We're setting the examples on emotional manipulators and emotional abusers. And those are hard to forgive, but it's very healing when you get to the point where you have forgiven. Until you get there, you may harbor certain feelings: hurt, shock, anger, frustrated, and more. You know, non-forgiveness is toxic. It eats away at our mental and physical well-being. When we forgive, we're releasing toxicity from our minds. When we forgive, we're choosing peace, and it is a choice. When we forgive, it does not mean that the narcissistic behavior was right. Forgiveness does not validate abusive, manipulative behavior or any other behavior. It just means we've released whatever that behavior did to us. We're releasing it. We're forgiving. It simply means that we are not holding on to our anger. We're not holding on to our resentment. We're not holding on to any feelings or emotions that we needed to release. We've forgiven. We've let go. Forgiveness may sound like we're giving grace. And in many ways, I agree we are. I think that to a degree, I believe biblically that we need to love regardless. It doesn't mean that we subject ourselves to more abuse. That has nothing to do with forgiveness. We may be giving the other person grace, but we're giving ourselves grace overall. It is us we're giving the grace to. We're forgiving ourselves for any part of the abuse that we blamed ourselves for. When we forgive, we are releasing. When we forgive, we've decided that we are worthy of healing. Now, sometimes we forgive people because we believe they're worthy of healing, and everybody is worthy of healing. Everybody, we hope and pray, can heal, but we know with the narcissist that's usually not the case. They don't heal. They don't even heal with therapy, but I'm not talking about that today. We're talking about forgiving, taking care of ourselves. We're letting go of what was toxic. Forgiving isn't always turned towards ourselves, though. It's also turned towards others. It's just a forgiving situation. If some of us have a really hard time letting go to the point where we can say we have forgiven. But think about how many people we draw into our circle when we haven't forgiven. We talk to our friends and we talk to our family members, and they get to hear our toxic conversation because we're still so focused on our anger and our frustration that we haven't let it go. We haven't forgiven yet. We haven't moved on. And I think that's a big part of forgiveness. We move on. We're at peace. It's okay to feel anger for a time. I think we have to feel anger for a time. I think we have to feel frustrated for a time. But we don't let it destroy us. I think we learn a lot from feeling anger. We learn a lot from feeling frustration. But then we turn around and we eventually release it. And once we release that, we understand how good it is, how good we feel, and we see how much healing we have done. We forgive, we release, and then we have our own internal sense of peace. Now, I do have one thing to say, though. If you tell a narcissist that you have forgiven them, they may turn awfully angry on you. And the typical words are going to be, "What do you mean you forgive me? I've not done anything wrong." If that is the case in your situation, continue to forgive. Continue to allow yourself to feel a sense of peace. Because obviously the narcissist is not taking responsibility for their behavior. And that happens quite often. It happens 99.9% of the time. But you have to take care of you. You have to release it. You have to let it go. You have to live your life with kindness towards yourself and kindness and love towards others. And there's only one way for you to do that, and that is to release this toxic stuff that's going on in your mind. Forgive. And forgive can mean that you've moved on. You've moved on mentally. You may move on physically. It doesn't mean that you buddy up with this person. It doesn't mean you're going to allow the abuse. It doesn't mean that the abuse is okay. But it means that you've forgiven and you have released. And it's really hard for some people to do this, especially for codependents, because they continue to want to fix this person. They continue to feel the desire to have this narcissist or this manipulator in their lives. So it's very difficult for them to forgive and say, well, I'm going to release this, because they don't feel worthy if they've let it go. But you are worthy. You're worthy of healing. You're worthy of taking care of yourself in your life. You're worthy of a good life. You taking care of yourself is not dependent upon someone being there for you. Your self-care is exactly that. You love yourself enough to take care of yourself. You can't love others and be there for others if you are completely drained and you've completely given everything that you have away. Then you're left with nothing. So let it go, let it be, and forgive. Give yourself grace if you're still in the throes of frustration and anger and shock. Let it happen for a time, and know that you're healing and that you will forgive and you will move on.